All right, college football and stuff here. It is week 10 of the college football season. We got a few more conferences getting started this week. Got the first of the Pac-12 games, got the MAC. I'm going to be going over 3 conferences in this video, the SEC, the Big 12, and then the first games from the Pac-12. All right, starting off with the SEC games. First up, we have Florida versus Georgia, neutral site game, 3:30 on CBS. Georgia, a 3.5 point favorite. This is a tough game for me to pick. I don't like Florida's defense, but at the same time, I don't really trust Georgia's offense. So I really was not sure where to go on this game. Georgia has an absolutely elite defense. They have played exceptionally well. I think they're going to be able to limit Florida some. I think Georgia will be able to get some points, but to me, it's really a question of Florida might be able to slow down Georgia's run game. If Florida does, is this going to turn into the Alabama-Georgia game where Georgia just isn't able to put up the points to keep up with Florida? I don't know. I think Georgia wins. 3 points is probably what I would like to see the spread be at. I think I would like this a lot more if it was -2.5 instead of -3.5. I'm going to take Georgia minus those 3.5 points, though. I do think Georgia is just a little bit better. We'll see. Florida could surprise me here. Vanderbilt at Mississippi State, 3:30 on the SEC network. Mississippi State, an 18.5 point favorite, coming off a huge blowout loss to Alabama. But Alabama is a lot better than Vanderbilt. I think Mississippi State ends this losing streak. Haven't won a game since they beat LSU. And I think Mississippi State wins. I think they cover. I think Vanderbilt is just struggling that much. I think Mississippi State is one of those teams where if they can get the offense rolling, they're going to put up a ton of points against people. Now, my one hesitation there is Mississippi State, are their players still bought in on this season? That I don't know. There's lots of behind-the-scenes issues. Kylan Hill sitting out. Is there some discontent there in that team with the new coaching staff not feeling supported by them? We could see if you think that there's any reason that, I think that's the reason if you think Mississippi State doesn't cover. But I'm going to take them to cover those 18.5. I think they get a nice win there, and really probably one that they need because they're struggling. Texas A&M at South Carolina, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Texas A&M, a 10-point favorite. I think Texas A&M wins that. I think they cover. Texas A&M has impressed me. They've looked better and better, I feel like, as the season has gone on. I think South Carolina is going to struggle some more. I think Texas A&M has enough of an offense to put up some points. I don't think South Carolina is going to be able to keep it super competitive. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think 10 points is right about where that line should be. I could very easily see this game being a push. I could see Texas A&M winning by exactly 10 points, but I'm going to take them to cover. But yeah, I could see this being a 10-point game. I think that spread is right where it needs to be. Tennessee at Arkansas, 7:30 on the SEC network. Tennessee, a 1.5-point favorite. This, I think, is another tough game to pick. I do think that line is about right. I think this is going to be a super close game, and I think, this is the kind of game that a single play can change the outcome of. You have one blown coverage, you have one turnover at the wrong time, and that's the game. I'm going to take Arkansas plus the 1.5. I don't know if I'm going to regret that or not. I think Tennessee is the better team, but Arkansas has been playing a bunch of people really close. They're going to get a win one of these games. I think this could be the game. Next up, moving on to the Big 12. Starting off, we have West Virginia at Texas, 12 o'clock on ABC. Texas, a 6.5-point favorite. I guess, sort of like Mississippi State, not anywhere near to the same extent, but Texas is having trouble behind the scenes. They got a good win last week. West Virginia didn't really impress me with their play last week. The spread is just under a touchdown. I'm going to take Texas to win, but Texas has been playing a bunch of really close games. So I would not be surprised I think Texas wins this game, but I would not be surprised if they win and don't cover this, but I'm going to take them to cover. Kansas at Oklahoma, 3:30 on ESPN. Oklahoma, a 37.5-point favorite, a ton of points, but Kansas has been consistently getting blown out this season. I don't think they're going to be able to match up well against Oklahoma. Give me Oklahoma minus those 37.5. I don't think there's any chance Oklahoma loses here. I mean, it would be hilarious if they did, but yeah, I think Oklahoma wins and covers. Texas Tech at TCU, 3:30 on Fox Sports 1. TCU, a 9.5-point favorite here. And this is another game where I think the spread is where it should be. Texas Tech, not a terrible team. And TCU, although they've won some good games, they've also just not played well in a few games. And I'm really not sure what to think about them. Traditionally, they've been one of the Big 12 teams that's been better on defense, though. I think TCU wins. Again, this is a game where I could easily see them winning but not covering. It's just under 10 points, though, a common point differential, an easy one to get to in college football. I definitely wouldn't take this over 10 points, but at minus 9.5, I'm going to take TCU to cover. Oklahoma State at Kansas State, 4 o'clock on Fox. Oklahoma State, a 12.5-point favorite, coming off a tough loss to Texas. I have not been super impressed with Kansas State these past few games, though. I still like Oklahoma State. I think the Big 12's chances of getting into the playoffs are completely gone now. We'll see if that affects, a team like Oklahoma State that was maybe thinking that they had a chance. They may come out and just not play as well because of that. Lost some of their motivation, but I'm going to take Oklahoma State minus the 12.5. All right, then we have Baylor at Iowa State. Iowa State, a 13.5-point favorite. That's 7 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. I've liked Iowa State. I think that's a little bit too many points, though. Both of these teams have played a bunch of really close games. Haven't been a bunch of blowouts either way for either of them. The games that Baylor's lost, it's been fairly close. Iowa State has won a bunch of games under this point spread. I'm going to take Baylor plus the 13.5 there. All right, moving on to the Pac-12. The first time we're going to get to see the Pac-12 play this season. First up, we have Arizona State at USC. 12 o'clock on Fox. USC a 10.5 point favorite. This is a tough game. It's just over 10 points, which I would like this a lot better, just under. Arizona State played decent last season, and USC has been one of those teams that I feel like nobody has been able to figure out the past few years. They've had lots of hype coming into seasons and then just not looked good at all. You know, thinking back to a few seasons ago when they opened up against Alabama and Alabama destroyed them. I'm going to take USC minus the 10.5. I sort of have to go with my gut on these games. Don't know what you're going to see out of these teams. I wouldn't bet, again, any of these games where you're looking at teams playing for the first time, just because we've seen so much weirdness. I would not be confident in any of these. These are all sort of going to be gut picks because I don't know. I have no idea how these teams are actually going to look, and really I don't think we'll know until they played a couple of games because, again, a lot of these teams have looked really bad in their first game and then sort of gotten the rust knocked off and played better as the season went on. These teams are getting a late start. They may have had a little bit more time to figure things out, but I really don't know. So yeah, I'm taking USA minus the 10.5, but I'm not super confident in that. Arizona at Utah, 3:30 on ESPN2. Now, of the two Arizona teams, Arizona State and Arizona, I definitely think Arizona State is the better team. I really wanted to like Kevin Sumlin. I felt like he sort of got a bad rap at Texas A&M, but he has not looked good at Arizona at all. Really expected him to look better than Herm Edwards, but it's been the opposite. Arizona had a tough season last year. Utah, of course, went to the Pac-12 championship. Lost to Oregon, kept them out of the playoffs. I think Utah is the better team. It's just under 2 touchdowns. Give me Utah minus the 13.5 there. UCLA at Colorado, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. UCLA a 6.5 point favorite, just under a touchdown. Colorado is a team that the past years has been able to put up points on offense. I like UCLA, though. I want them to do well. I'd like to see Chip Kelly get something going there. Give me UCLA minus those 6.5. I like this under a touchdown. Stanford at Oregon, 7:30 on ABC. Oregon a 10.5 point favorite, and I am buying Oregon this year. Again, don't know if we'll see some issues in this first game with people not playing very well, but I think Oregon has a good coach. I think he's recruiting well. I think he's building the right kind of culture at that program. I think Oregon is going to have a good season. I think if any team out of the Pac-12 has a shot of going to the playoffs, I think it's Oregon. And if they want that to happen, they need to win, and they need to win convincingly in all these games. So yeah, give me Oregon minus those 10.5. Now, I like David Shaw at Stanford. I think he's a good coach, but Stanford has not been as good of a team as they were a few years ago these past few seasons. So yeah, Oregon minus 10.5. Washington State at Oregon State, 10:30 on Fox Sport 1. I was kind of surprised by this, but Oregon State is a favorite, and now it's only 1.5 points. But still, Oregon State has not been a very good team for quite a while, and I know Washington State has a whole new coaching staff, but I still think they're the more talented team. Give me Washington State plus those 1.5. All right, that's it for all of the SEC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 here on Week 10. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button. I really appreciate it. It helps the YouTube algorithm show it to people. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribe to the channel. I pick every single FBS game against the spread every week, and I'm going to keep doing it. See you next time.